In Washington, at least 20 lawmakers and officials have tested positive for COVID in the last week. Despite the numbers, President Biden is going ahead with a packed schedule this coming week. ABC's Mary Alice Parks is in Wilmington, Delaware, and joins us with more. Mary Alice, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, the White House facing a lot of tough questions about its COVID protocols this week with that run of high-profile positive cases out of Washington. But so far, the White House says they plan to stay the course. The West Wing is trying to walk this careful line. They're trying to both say that, of course, they take these precautions to keep the president safe, like regularly testing those around him. But they say that it is possible he might still get infected. You know, most Americans are largely trying to get back to some kind of normal, and they say so is the president. He's about 10 days out from his latest booster, his second booster. And yesterday we did see glimpses of him out and about outside in a mask more than we have recently. Now, this last week, like you said, 20 D.C. leaders tested positive, including 3 of the president's cabinet secretaries, several lawmakers, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now, the White House insisting that the president's interactions with Pelosi this week were short and brief, despite those hugs and kisses that we saw. And one of the most surprising moves this week was actually with the vice president. A senior member of her staff tested positive. The White House acknowledged that that was a close contact, but then she went maskless there in the Senate chamber for that historic vote of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. The White House said that the vice president had consulted with her doctors and had tested negative. At this point, the White House says they will continue to test the president regularly, a few times a week, but that he plans to travel a lot this month, including to Iowa and North Carolina this week. Whit.
All right, Mary Alice, thanks. And let's bring in ABC News political director Rick Klein. Rick, good morning. It's always great to have you. So let's start right there with that COVID outbreak among top officials in Washington. Still, President Biden pushing forward, maintaining his public schedule. We heard the criticism there. Is the White House sending an effective message here about living with the pandemic?
With this hits incredibly close to the president and to most of official Washington. And it cuts to the heart of what President Biden has tried to say about COVID all along, that you need to be following the protocols. You also need to make sure that you're vaccinated and boosted. And if you are vaccinated and boosted, the message here is that the risk of a serious illness is very, very low. And that's why you see President Biden engaging in that schedule. He does not want to backslide in terms of restrictions or masks or anything else any more than most Americans do. He wants to be on the other side of COVID, and he wants to send that message in what he does publicly. But that means that every time he appears out in public or anyone around him appears, it's going to be heavily, heavily scrutinized. And I do think, as Mary Alice pointed out, that's significant difference in messaging for them to acknowledge it's possible he could get COVID, and the hope is it wouldn't be a serious case.
Yeah, there's the science. There's also the optics that they have to deal with as well. I do want to turn, though, to some reporting you've been working on about former President Trump and his influence on future elections, his endorsements, whether he's still a kingmaker in the Republican Party. That's going to be tested very soon.
Yeah, with just last night, President Trump in North Carolina alongside Madison Cawthorn, the embattled congressman who's lost the support of much of his party, in addition to some of his other endorsees. Also last night, he endorsed Dr. Mehmet Oz in the Senate race in Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz, of course, a longtime television celebrity close to Trump. But here's the thing. These are big, bold bets that might backfire. John Carl and I have been talking to a range of Republicans who are somewhat mystified by some of these choices. They say that Trump and his influence is going to be on the line in these primaries. And starting next month, you've got a series of high-profile contests. If Trump's choices lose, I think you're looking at a much different portrait of the Republican Party.
And so much on the line for both parties in this midterm election year. Rick Klein, always a pleasure. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And tune in to This Week later on this morning. Jonathan Karl will go one-on-one with White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan for the latest developments in Ukraine. Plus, as COVID cases rise again in some parts of the country, John has an exclusive interview with Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.